Hey guys, welcome back to day 3. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to bring to you. I absolutely love day 3 because it really starts to integrate the mind and the body and brings it into the soul, the spirit, and the whole self, which is so beautiful. This is one of my, well, they're all my favorite days, but I absolutely love day 3. I'm going to set up my screen share now and then we'll get started. Okay, so funny. I'm not a technology buff, so all the stuff at the top that I think you can see, it's kind of hilarious. I'm just sort of setting everything up and then we can get started. Awesome. Day 3. I hope everything went well with day 2 and day 1 and filling out the workbooks and everything. Make sure you know that you can still message me if you've got any questions and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Even though you're doing this on your own, this is a DIY, I'm happy for any feedback and any questions that you have. Because if you have them, then no doubt other people will have them as well. All right. Day 3, we're going to start off by talking about our higher self. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. You don't have to believe in spirituality or God or anything like that to do this segment. Remember, this is like a buffet. Just take it or leave it, try it, dabble, and you can decide later. I think that trying it and seeing what you think is the best way to realize what works for you and what doesn't. Intuition, call it gut, call it instinct. This is the still small voice available to all. And I have found that even when we are not living entirely in alignment with our higher self and with our integrity, this intuition, our higher self, can still be accessed. So it's not predicated on worth. Your access to it is really through your intention and your willingness. It's like the loving parent that any repentant child can call on and they won't be turned away. It's there for everyone and needs only attention and surrender to hear it. There is an element of ourselves that taps into something greater than just our mind and body. It transcends religion, culture, and race. It's the divine in each of us. It's the intelligence that sets things in order and oversees everything. It's that part of you that thinks of a friend 30 seconds before they call. It's that part of you who hesitates to cross the road or to run a little faster, and you seem to just avoid an accident. That's a true story. So when I was 18, I was standing next to the traffic light, had a feeling to run across the road. There weren't any cars coming that I could see, and so I decided that the little man was red, and I had this feeling, and I'm like, okay, well, I've got to do it. So I did. I ran across the road, and then about 10 seconds later, this car came around the corner and smashed into the pole where I was standing. So that happened, and yeah, I'm really grateful that I listened to that still small voice, that little prompting. So it's a quiet little whisper that calmly helps you along your journey. And it doesn't always make sense, but there's always a sense of peace in it. So how do you listen to your intuition or your higher self? Learning the difference between your ego and fear and anxiety and intuition and spirit is one of the greatest things that you could ever have access to, one of the greatest powers you can ever have access to in this life. So learning the difference between, what is like coming from a place of fear and ego and what's coming from a place of intuition, it's really important to start to identify which is which. The only way we can really start identifying it is to pay attention to how different things turn out. and our little feelings that go along with it. So ego, I found, is quite excitable and jittery and like, oh, it'll kind of come on really quickly. It ebbs and it flows. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm so anxious about this. Actually, no, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So it's kind of, it's not necessarily consistent, and it doesn't come with a knowing, like an innate, deep, calm knowing. Whereas spirit or intuition, it's quietly persistent, and it's like a calm knowing. So acknowledging the knowing part, sometimes it's what we don't want to know. Sometimes it will tell us things that we would rather deny because it's so uncomfortable to know them, but you still know them. So if you're unsure of if it's feeling like ego or if it's feeling like intuition, go with the one that feels the most calm, the most at peace after having made the decision. Now, that's not to say that the outcome will be calm or peaceful, but it will bring you, when you lay your head on the pillow at night, it'll bring you the most peace to know that you did that. Now, here's something, a little exercise that you can try at home, anywhere you are, even right now. You can walk from one end of the room to another and just stand at the door and just listen to any promptings that you get. Or you could just sit back and then just listen. Some questions that you could ask if you're kind of wanting a little bit of interaction would be something like, what is it in my highest good? What would be for my highest good right now? What is it that I can do for my highest good? Or go into the kitchen and say, what is it that I can consume that's in my highest good? And then just see where your mind goes and just start to really play with it. Another way you can learn the whisper is through paying attention to subtle feelings and checking in with yourself afterwards. So after something happens, see if you can remember how that feeling felt before you chose it, and start to learn the language that your higher self uses to communicate with you, because it'll communicate through feelings. You won't always hear voices or anything like that. It's a feelings thing. You are welcome to engage with the voice in a humorous way. So something that I kind of do is have a little bit of a laugh, and it's just like, are you kidding? I've got to do that. Right, fine, I'll do it. And then I concede and do it, and I'm grateful. Thank it. Even if the prompting isn't easy, make sure you thank it. Any guidance that comes into your life, be so grateful, because ultimately it's for your highest good, even though you might not see why. Everything that happens for us is for our highest good, which may be hard to reconcile sometimes, but it's so true. We always have an opportunity. So make sure you thank those promptings. I am. It's probably back the front, but I am. This is like one of my most favorite shirts in the world. We make I am statements and affirmations all day, unconsciously. Us humans try so hard to understand the world around us, and we try and understand ourselves also. We are constantly looking to label things, to judge things, and place something in a box, even ourselves. So you're going to get around saying I am statements, making affirmations. These are creating. This is creating what it is you want to see and what is perpetuating. If you want more of the same, keep saying the same thing. If you want something different, maybe it's time to change something. The unconscious I am. When we start to pay attention to our statements, our I am statements, we notice they are mostly negative. They are operating from a reaction to the past and not a projection of the future. exactly as we are right now. Our body, our mind, every element of our lives is not a reflection of our current internal state. What we are experiencing right now is actually our past state. So create an intention to identify our unconscious I am statements. Pay attention to how you speak, what you say, how you label yourself, and start to replace them with intentional and conscious I am statements. This is what will start to improve your life. And when I say that we're showing up in our past state right now, I'm going to explain a little bit more what I mean about that. So as we start to create conscious I am statements, we start replacing the unconscious I ams with intentional conscious I ams. When we start to use these statements, one of the things that makes them so powerful is the feeling that we associate with it. So when we say them, we want to state them with a strong sense of having become an embodiment. So really digging into that feeling, it's what makes the magic. It's what magnetizes it. It takes time to see the effects. Think of a gym routine. So if our external and even to some degree our internal state, think of our internal reality as time spent in a gym. You are the only person who feels the effects of it immediately. It's hard, it hurts, it's a new muscle. It's uncomfortable and hard, but that's why you made the commitment to yourself. You chose to commit to this gym, right? Then you are usually the first one to notice the changes. Maybe some people who are really close to you will see it daily, but you start to kind of feel it before you see it, right? You start feeling strong in your muscles before you can see them. But consistent effort, and fast forward a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year of going to the gym consistently, and your external reality is starting to mimic the one you have intentionally started creating, what you have committed to. This is how affirmations work. Not saying it once and thinking that, well, it didn't work, I said it once. No, not working from a skeptical point of view, but from a place of knowing that it is inevitable and starting to change your vibration around those I am statements, making them really conscious and intentional I am statements, as though it is already here, even though it might not be already here. So really digging into that feeling for the skeptic, and there are skeptics among us, and that is okay. Let's just say you don't believe that affirmations work. Consider this. Do the words you use influence the world around us? And has it been working for you so far? The words you're saying, has it been working? Do you like your current results? What is the downside to using positive I am statements or talking kindly to yourself or assuming that things will go well? What's the downside? Disappointment, maybe? But if you don't use them, then you're 100% disappointed, right? Whereas if you do use them, there's a possibility of disappointment, but at least you're feeling better, right? You might feel better than you do right now. If it isn't helping, it's hurting. If the words you're saying right now aren't helping, they are hurting. Affirmations might not work for you. It's not 100% that it's always going to turn out the way that you want it, but that's where we can use the words this or something better, because our way doesn't always work out. But we really won't make you feel better if you approach from a place of skepticism. Skepticism will most likely lead to nothing working out for you. However, affirmations creates more possibility of it working. If we're made up of so many different parts, we can communicate between those parts. You talk to your body, you have a relationship with your body. You talk to your mind, you have a relationship with your mind. You talk to your emotions, you have a relationship with those emotions. You have a relationship to each part of those emotions, each part of that body, each part of that mind. So they are each contributing to your human experience. And each part operates its own function in the whole that creates you. Consider that each worker and the voice that they respond to is you as the boss. Each part and each component that makes you is a worker for you, the boss. How would a worker respond to a boss that is harsh, judgmental, critical, and rarely praises? One that focuses on all the bad and doesn't acknowledge the good. Are they going to want to work at the optimal? And yet, yourself still tries to do its best for you, even though you are saying different I am statements that are affecting it negatively. It's still trying. Something to keep in mind. Rituals. Such a buzzword. Oh my goodness. In the last video, we played with the ritual of gratitude for her and ecstatic dance. I hope you enjoyed those. They're beautiful practices. So ritual is basically a habit that comes from a place of intention, and it's usually aligned with our guiding principles. So consider this. I have and believe strongly in the principle of rising early and starting in prayer and meditation. Through my teens and 20s, I would roll out of bed onto my knees and pray before I did anything else in the morning. So I've lost touch with that off and on during the years. But I now have settled into a routine that I really enjoy. So I start by saying thank you when I wake up in the morning and then moving to my meditation corner. I do not do this perfectly at all. And a lot of times I fall out of the routine of it. But every time I do it, every time I see the effects that it has on my day, my ideal self does it daily. And it's also kind to herself when she doesn't. I know what a day looks like when I don't do it. I know how it affects my day when I don't do it. Because it's a principle and integrity is so integral to being able to achieve the things that you want to achieve, it's so important to stick by these rituals. There is a type of energy and magnetism that comes when you are creating rituals for your life that align with your principles. So, what are some rituals that we do in the mornings and evenings? So, here's just something that I do. As an idea, everyone is going to be different because we are all such different individuals. So having a morning and evening ritual is so important to intentionally creating your life and gaining more love for yourself. You will absolutely create more confidence, more love as you care for yourself. Consider a toddler. A toddler is told when to eat, told when to go to bed, told, well, not necessarily told to wake up. They usually wake up when they do. But they have discipline around them. They have routine, they have boundaries. And boundaries are a sign of love. And we need to be disciplining and giving ourselves boundaries as a sign of love. And that's what rituals really are. Setting intentional rituals is so important to loving yourself. This is where you start to design and create the ideal life you're wanting to adopt. To be in a place of response is to feel a sense of hopelessness. If you're constantly reacting, you kind of feel as though things are happening to you. To come from a place of intention, builds self-confidence and greater hope for the future. It's coming from a place of things are happening for me. So what came first, the morning or the evening? We get so stuck sometimes thinking, well, I'll start first thing in the morning, I'll start on Monday, I'll start at the start of the month. Start wherever is next. It's not going to be any easier on Monday, any easier in the morning. Start now. So your mind is most open to suggestion 5 minutes after you wake up and 5 minutes before you sleep. So these are really good times to set intention, to create those intentional self-talks, your I am statements, as well as doing any hypnosises. Set your intention for the day. Reflect on the day. Want to redirect and try and understand. So as you're setting your intention for the day, you really want to be able to go, okay, well, my ideal self would achieve this today. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And then at the end of the day, you can go through and see what it is that you, how you showed up in that way. Include practices of gratitude, affirmations, surrender to your higher good. Incorporate meditation and prayer. You can use elements as well, which help with integration. So earth, you can use flowers or stone. Water, you can use sprays or oils. Fire, you can use candles or incense. And air, you can use your breath with breath work, or incense also. I think it represents both. In the morning, we set the intention for how we want to show up through the day. How does the version of me who adores herself, what does she do today? How does she act? What does she wear? What does she eat? How does she fill up her space? In the evening, it's time to reflect and journal on how you did. What would you like to adjust? What needs a little more attention? What was easy and enjoyable? I also like to write down the miracles that happen through the day, and then resolve that tomorrow will continue the journey and integrate these observations that we've made. Now, gratitude is another incredible paradox, where the more we're grateful for what we have, the more enough it becomes. And it opens you up to receive even more. But your motivation for gratitude can't be to get more. How's that for a paradox? It has to be gratitude embodied, pure and unadulterated. It can be in prayer, it can be written, it can be spoken, but a practice of gratitude is essential for love. Use some affirmations, I am statements, or scripting. Start scripting out what you want to see in your life as though it is already here. Surrender. Let go of force and turn your desires over to universal power. We have no control, but we can influence. And stating our desires and acting on the promptings are what we can do. The rest is out of our hands. Even though it drives us crazy, we do everything we can to control it, but ultimately it's out of our hands. Meditation and prayer, I believe these are different intentions. They're not the same thing. I don't see them as religious, although you can still practice them according to your religious beliefs. But I see meditation as a form of surrender. And I see prayer as a form of gratitude and asking for our desires. The other thing I have to mention is I sometimes use the finger mode of self. So as a kinesiologist, I use finger modes. So this is the finger mode of self. It's just your thumb to those two fingers and your two hands out with your palm pointing down. You can meditate with that self mode on your knees if you wanted to. But yeah, that was just a cool little side note I just wanted to mention. So I see prayer as talking. You communicating And I see meditation as listening and receiving. This is a little distinction. Alchemizing self-love. Alchemy, for those who aren't familiar with this term, is the process of transmuting from one form to another. Love is the alchemizing element that binds all the learnings. Release, surrender to it, allow it. The irony is that we aren't actually moving towards self-love because it's always been there. It has existed with us during every stage, every state, every moment, in every cell of our intelligent existence. And yet, it has just been piled on top of. It's there, but it has changed. And the alchemizing comes in the unbecoming. Alchemy of self-love. The alchemy is the surrender and the shedding of conditions, all the things that we should be. Self-love is our original state. The alchemy is allowing the self space to slough off every expectation placed on you, even the ones that you've placed on yourself. Alchemy is the surrender of the caterpillar to the instinctual call of cocoon, broken down into its simplest form through pain, through it hurts. To use every cell and element that already made it up to actualize into its divine form, the butterfly. It's the ultimate unbecoming in order to become. Here's a nice little poem that I wrote that really kind of symbolizes the process of alchemy. Oh my goodness. Wait. Tired and beaten, she surrendered wild, conceding to the lull of cocoon. Enveloped tight, stifling free breath. It's for love and safety, it crooned. Her growth forced cocoon's rigidity still. Embering swallowed roars blazed. Engulfing confines, singed, scarred and unsure. Resurgence pulsed dreams through her veins. Then Victor observed cocoon's sinking demise. Aloft the moon-luminate sea, Valkyrian air now championing wings, emancipated as wild woman free. That came to me one night when I could not sleep and I was feeling completely ripped apart. Kind of getting a little teary just thinking about it. I was feeling completely ripped apart, broken. These words just came. And it was just another testament of the unbecoming. And it led to a becoming, another layer being torn off of uncovering my divine, myself. Unbecoming is a practice. It's not a comfortable practice. There's so much surrender. There's so much trusting in it. It really comes into the turning down of fear and turning up of love. Another part of unbecoming is forgiveness. You're not going to get it right all the time. And that's okay. We make mistakes, and in actual fact, they're not mistakes, they're learnings. Feel free to laugh at your mistakes because most of them are ridiculous. If we heard of someone that we absolutely adored making the mistakes that we made, we would kind of laugh and be like, what were you thinking? We would show up with so much more love than we show to ourselves. There is humor in this whole experience. We are such humans. We are awkward in our efforts. We are more awkward in our efforts than we nail them. That was not great writing on my part. Basically, probably fail more than we win. But these little wins, they're just like huge to us. And it's so interesting what we class as a win and what we class as a fail. It is all learning. There is good in the bad and bad in the good. That's Tao Te Ching right there. Celebrate your wins, your successes, more than you acknowledge your shortcomings. Only acknowledge your shortcomings without judgment. Be an observer. Learn. What is this teaching me? So I use Ho'oponopono to release a lot of my forgiveness. What I do is I go through and I write down the things that I need to forgive about myself. And then one at a time, I hold the space there for them. I feel into it. I cut the cord that binds me to it. So I imagine there's a cord coming from my chest that's binding me to this mistake, this person, this experience. I decide to cut it and pull the roots out from where it is, pull the roots out from myself, and then offer it up to the universe to disintegrate. And then I say these words, Ho'oponopono, the Ho'oponopono ritual. I say, thank you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. I love you. You can say it more than once if you want to, but the intention is there to release it. Get curious in those times where you feel like you need to forgive yourself. Get curious instead of judge. Is there something there for you? Is there a pattern? Does this happen over and over again? There's something that you need to learn. I was on a phone call with someone who I dearly, dearly respect and admire. And he said to me, I may knock myself down, but I never knock myself out. And that really stuck to me. You know, he's someone who might be perceived for making a lot of mistakes, but this is his journey and he has such a pure, beautiful heart. And that really spoke to me. I love you. So this practice is not as easy as it sounds. Sit quietly for this intentional practice. You want to be on your own. You're welcome to use a mirror, but sometimes that creates a lot of resistance when you start. So you're welcome to start without one. So repeat the words to yourself quietly, closing your eyes. Say, I love you. And say it to yourself 10 times, slowly, intentionally. And if a negative thought arises, or you hear, okay, yeah, I love you, but I mean, you did this and that was really dumb. Or I love you, but you really should lose 10 kilos, or something like that. If any negative comment comes up, I want you to stop. I want you to kindly ask it to wait. And I want you to start again. So it might be that you sit down with this for an hour the first time. But the aim is to look into your own eyes in the mirror. I prefer looking into my left eye in the mirror. I'm not great with my lefts and rights, but I try and look both of my eyes into my left eye in the mirror and speak the words with intention 10 times consecutively without a negative thought. It's not very easy when you start, but this is such a powerful practice. You may cry and that is okay. Allow yourself that space, but make a conscious effort to try and integrate this into your routines, into your rituals, because really coming back to a place of love for yourself is such a powerful thing. This is such a powerful practice. And starting with the forgiveness really helps to let go of a lot of that negative self-talk that's going to be showing up for you. So keep that in mind too when you start that practice. To fall in love with self is to surrender to your divinity. It's learning who you are and doing the healing work to come back to your divine state. I love the quote that Marianne Williamson says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us." I am so grateful for all the crazy stuff that has shown up in my life that led me to a place of really turning inward and of getting to know me, myself, relying on myself for intuition, for guidance, for love, because anything else is a bonus. All we have is us. And it's just made everything so much sweeter. So yes, you do have homework for today. Print out this workbook and work through it for yourself. Practice listening to your intuition. Really start to learn the way that your higher self communicates with you. And journal on any insights that you have. Create a morning and evening routine for yourself. Really love yourself as though you're this little toddler who needs to still have that discipline and those boundaries. Make a list of things to forgive about yourself and release them through Ho'oponopono. And then follow that up with the I love you intentional practice, edging up to that times 10. So I love yous times 10. And then if you wanted to add a photo and join the FIWS photo challenge, post your favorite photo of you onto your feed and share something that you have discovered about yourself that you're grateful for. Share insights of anything that you might have learnt during this course and tag me in it at Wild Woman Free. And you can use the hashtag FILWS as well. I love hearing from people who have done this course and how it's helped them. And finally, thank you. I'm going to stop share. Thank you for joining me on this journey, for inviting me into this space to show you some of the things that I've discovered, some of the things that I've used and that have helped me. I hope that they help you as much as they have helped me and some of my clients as well. I love you. I hope you are able to discover the divine that is you. Much love.